Officially back.
Welcome to the first Off the Ropes podcast in quite a long time. Almost, 2-3 years now?
Bro, it's been a long time.
It's been an extremely long time, but we are back. We're better than ever, and we are ready to crank out some content for you guys.
I am actually very excited to get this back. Once again, we've had a lot on our plate recently. We're growing up. We're doing a lot of things. We just did a show together just today. Today was
Last show, yeah.
final night. We just got done with a cast party.
Yep.
He was lights. I was acting in it, and it was a lot of fun. But right now, we're hoping to get the channel back on track. We're hoping to get everything figured out. We are hoping to be 100% back. So,
Get the grind back on. So, I'm going to kick this off with Triple H. Vince McMahon has retired from WWE officially, and Triple H has been taking over for about 3 weeks now, I think. Yeah, about 3 weeks.
I can tell you, this is one of those things where it's like you remember where you were and what you were doing when this happened. And, of course, I saw the tweet.
Yep.
And what happened?
Actually, I got the notification. I saw it about 30 minutes after it was dropped. I remember I was sitting on my best friend Taylor's couch, and I saw it and immediately called Dalton. I was like, hey, like, this is insane. This is what happened.
And fun fact,
hello to our one viewer, by the way.
There you go. That might be me just watching for comments.
Gotcha.
So, what I could tell you is I saw it 17 minutes after it was announced, or he tweeted out, or maybe 7. There was a 7 in there somewhere.
Right.
But I could tell you I was one of the first ones because it popped up on my feed, and I'm like, oh, okay, what's this? And immediately it was, I remember I was at something with my family. It was me, my sister, my mother, and we were at some, like, amusement park. I think it's...
Outer World?
No, it wasn't Outer World. It was something else. Right. But, like Area 15 or something like that.
Yeah. Is it in Cleveland?
No, I don't remember. But anyway, back to what we were saying. It's basically, I saw it, and I was in the middle of doing something, and I ran over to my mother. I'm like, Mom, look what just happened. And she's like, yep, I just saw it. And then not even 20 seconds later, I get a phone call from Trey. And it's saying, dude, look what just happened. Vince McMahon just retired. What does this mean? And it was on a Friday, which means Friday Night SmackDown was about to happen.
And at the time, nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew who was in charge, what was going to happen, who was head of creative. Triple H was not officially announced of head of creative, until a good week, maybe a week and a half after that announcement came out. Mm-hmm. And his first official Raw was 2 weeks ago of him under Power. And boy, oh boy, could you tell the difference? Could you tell the change? That was
the change.
A breath of fresh air for everyone that's been watching.
Well, I would just like to say it's great to see guys like Ricochet back on, because I watched a Friday. It might have been one of the first ones. It wasn't that first Friday. I mean, I watched it, but I didn't. Like, I watched the first 20 minutes. I saw Stephanie give her speech.
Right.
But it might have been after it was after SummerSlam. And by the way, SummerSlam was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. The card did not make it look like it was going to be very good, and it was actually very, very well. It was made very well.
Well, first of all, the card was already being built before Vince retired.
Right.
Like, we already knew it was going to be Roman and Brock. We already knew, trying to think what other matches happened, because that match was phenomenal.
Right, yeah.
Like, I keep saying it was phenomenal, but
crazy. That
match was probably, I mean, we were at Cody's house. Cody, if you tune in, that you should. But, we were at a friend's house for his birthday party, and we ended up watching it.
Yeah, we did.
Staying over. And what happened was, he turned to us and said, how is that not going to be 5 stars?
Yeah.
The whole ring thing was amazing.
The entire driving the tractor and picking up the ring and dumping it over, that was insane.
What?
We have another viewer. We have 2 viewers.
Let's go. So,
see if you can shut them out. Shut them out if we can see who it is.
If they comment, I can 100% shut them out.
But yeah,
The Osiris Little Theater with Landon. Landon, welcome to...
What's up, Landon?
Welcome to our podcast. Right now we're on the topic of Vince McMahon, and we were talking about SummerSlam. So back to SummerSlam. Towards the end, we will read your comments. If you have any questions for us, we will answer those. Yes,
at the end.
If you have
do
any...
not worry.
And that includes anybody that wants to join. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, whatever, please feel free. I have it live up on my phone.
Yep.
And hello, Landon. We see you. We hear you.
We appreciate you joining, bub.
So, back to SummerSlam.
Right.
The opening match was Bianca Belair versus Becky.
Which was an okay match.
It was a good match. It wasn't like one of the best matches I've ever seen. However,
what everyone was talking about was what happened.
What everybody was talking about is what happened after the fact, and that, like, we weren't expecting it. I'm sure nobody was expecting it ever. Because
I'm a big Dakota Kai fan too, so I thought it was insane. I thought it was really cool. I'm glad that they're getting a second chance and they're actually getting, what they deserve in the WWE and finally getting their shot, basically, their real true shot on the main roster, which is what they deserve more than. Once
again, I love the fact that Bayley came back. She got a great ovation.
She did.
Dakota Kai came out.
Missing Bayley, Io Sky.
She got a great ovation.
Which, for those who don't know, same reason Walter is under the name Gunther.
Sorry, my water.
Triple H, well, not Triple H, but these guys are changing their names to keep their indie names. So if Walter were to leave, he could go by Walter and not be stuck with it. Stuck with Gunther. Same with Io Sky, which I don't think is a terrible change.
It's not a bad. I kind of like it. Like it, and once again, if you're a casual fan, it works because Io Shirai, Io Sky, it sounds very similar.
It does.
And it gets the casuals back in. Because if I'm not mistaken, she wrestled under the name Io Shirai.
She did.
So, and that's I feel like that is a great way to get that out there.
It is true, it is.
But the whole thing with the beginning of SummerSlam, that's when you knew change was coming.
Yep, that was... And that Raw after was...
The Raw after SummerSlam.
It's equally as incredible. That's where... Not the Raw after, excuse me. When they started doing the returns. Karrion Kross.
Karrion Kross came back.
Dexter Lumis is back on Raw.
Dexter Lumis.
There's rumors that Gargano may be making a comeback. There's rumors The Fiend may be making a comeback.
And once again, it's all rumors.
Triple H is fixing Judgment Day. That's something that we've needed.
The only thing I have an issue with was they lost at SummerSlam.
Yes, they had to do that for Edge's comeback. They were building up to that Dominic turn. I am fully convinced that Dominic is going to turn heel on Rey.
And that'll
be in a future booking video, wink wink, by yours truly, how Dominic should turn on Rey Mysterio. Keep an eye out for that. That'll be something to
keep you on your toes. I like it. But SummerSlam was amazing. The Raw, we can actually watch Raw now without being like, oh, it's a 3-hour show.
Our intelligence being insulted without,
Like, the Fatal 5-Way with Styles, Ciampa.
Yes.
Like, that was a great match. Mustafa Ali was in it.
He was, yes.
And even the counters that happened. Like, it was, Mustafa did a move off the top rope. Styles, he hit, I think, Theory with it.
Yep.
And then Styles came in, picked him up out of nowhere, and hit him with a Styles Clash on top of Theory, which was a great spot. And I feel like they're going in the right direction.
I believe they're 100% going in the right direction. I hope it sticks. I really hope it sticks. Terms such as pro wrestler and hospital have been unbanned, so those can be talked about, which that was a big Vince McMahonism, a big Vinceism. You can't say the word pro wrestler, it's sports entertainment. You have to say local medical facility, you can't say hospital. Those things are no longer in place. Those things are things that you can actually talk about now and actually say those words. There's no banned words.
Right.
But new guys like Killer Cross, all them coming back, it's a great, phenomenal start to the new era of WWE, the true new era, not just
not another like pandemic era and golden era and
the true new era
This
of wrestling
it
entertainment.
truly is a new era. Your Stars Little Theater with Landon. Is WWE better now that Vince is gone?
1000% WWE is better.
I believe. Now, I'm not going to say Vince McMahon was a terrible, terrible.
Vince McMahon
person.
Vince McMahon is a genius. I will say that.
Vince
He
McMahon
is a genius. He knew what he was doing booking wise, up until about 15 years ago.
Yes, I would say 2000.
2008 is
Yes.
2008 after the Ruthless Aggression era ended. Vince McMahon was out of touch. That was his problem. He didn't understand what modern professional wrestling was like. From a business standpoint, strictly businessman standpoint,
From a business
without creative
standpoint,
input, phenomenal. Got himself out of many lawsuits, the Jimmy Snuka incident, the steroid trial, everything. He knows what he's doing business-wise. Creative-wise, he was out of touch.
creative-wise,
He
this
was out
man,
of touch.
He didn't listen to the people. He believed that what was going on in his head was what everybody wanted to see.
Right.
He believed that, you want to see more of Roman Reigns? This is like 2006, 15, 16.
Yeah, nobody wanted that.
Nobody wanted to see Roman Reigns.
Nobody wanted to see Roman Reigns because they thought he was.
However,
he wasn't ready. I mean, the dude couldn't cut a promo to save his life. The dude's promos.
And I think that was made very clear when John Cena came after.
Yep, that was a great promo though. That was a great. But Roman has since improved since then majorly.
Oh, now that Roman Reigns is heel, give
the guy. Well, not even that. Not even that. Through the years, like from 2015 to 2018, you can see that big jump in character change. Whether you enjoyed it or not, you can see how well his promos were developing and how well he could.
Yeah.
Because when it became with the Shield, he was the odd man out. He was the muscle. He was the other guys are indie stars. Before it was Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, it was Jon Moxley and Tyler Black, and Ring of Honor and CZW.
They were established.
They were established. And even if you didn't follow the indies, everyone knew who Seth Rollins was from NXT.
Right. First NXT champion. He made a name for himself. And even if you didn't know Jon Moxley, everybody knows who Dean Ambrose is.
Everybody knows who Dean Ambrose is. A lot of people follow John. A lot of people now, because of the unfortunate circumstances with Jon Moxley departing WWE. I don't want to say unfortunate. Unfortunate for Dean Ambrose fans. Not unfortunate for him because it was a toxic environment for him. And I'm glad that he's out of that and in a better place.
Yes. So,
and on the topic of AEW, to switch topics.
Look, so basically, no joke. What just happened was Trey and I, we talked about this, and we were, let's just make a list. So I have a list right here to help us stay on topic. We don't really have many topics to talk about, but there's a lot to talk about.
This is our first episode back. There's a lot to talk about. Well,
there's a lot to talk about.
Professional wrestling world is extremely.
So, bless you, good
Thank
sir.
You, sir. Thank you, sir.
What I have written down is we talked about the changes that just happened in WWE.
Correct.
Between Vince, Triple H,
yep.
Stephanie. So now, Trey, my question is, what can we expect from Triple H now running things?
A lot of guys that are still with the company from NXT that have not the party yet. You're gonna see a lot more Ciampa. You're gonna see a lot more. Thank you, Landon. You're gonna see a lot more. How do I put it? A lot more stars that you don't typically see on the main roster. Mm-hmm. Probably, possibly more returns. I don't know for certain. That's up in the air at the moment. A lot of different changes. It's going to be a lot more in touch with modern professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be... There's going to be a lot less 20-minute talk segments. If Triple H can pull it, because this is only so much his control. Triple H, back in 2014, for those who don't know, went on the Stone Cold podcast on WWE Network, and how he talked about how a 3-hour Raw is so much harder to write than a 2-hour Raw. And I believe the USA Network wants Raw to remain 3 hours, and if they didn't care about that, it'd be back to 2 hours for sure.
Oh, 100%.
So if that can
it's all about brand deals.
If that can be
deals, network deals.
If that can be compromised or kind of convincing to USA Network to make Raw back to 2 hours, that is something we can probably look forward to.
Yes.
But don't think that that's like a major thing that could happen, because as of right now, there are no plans to change Raw to 2 hours. However, there is the possibility of WWE going back to TV 14. A huge possibility.
And I think that, I'm going to cut you off there, Trey. I feel like it all depends, because if in Triple H's world, if you watched NXT in the golden days when Adam Cole was there, even when Drew McIntyre, Gargano,
Aleister Black,
Aleister
Ciampa.
Black, Ricochet, just there's so many great people who were in NXT. I feel like it will be just like that, except feuds will be better, promos will be better,
Storylines will be more developed.
storylines will be
They're not
developed.
going to be booking on a week-to-week basis. They're going to be building things
long
out.
term.
Long-term booking. Long-term booking is key in any wrestling promotion. Long-term booking. For example, CM Punk, MJF, AEW. My personal modern-day Rock Austin feud. That is maybe a hot take for some, but for me, that's my Rock Austin. That's the Rock Austin of my generation.
Yes, because that
a phenomenal feud. Take bookers, writers, take notes from that. That was incredible. Two incredibly talented wrestlers, professional wrestlers, with an amazing writing staff, great production value, great timing, all of it, which is.
And
Chef's kiss.
speaking of which, so you talked about the fact that Triple H, once again Triple H is now in charge. You talked about the fact that it could go to TV 14.
Yes.
Which would be one major change.
It'd be a huge change.
It would be a huge change.
Hypothetically, it'd be a huge change.
Correct.
Because there's only the TV rating can only do so much.
Right.
For a product.
Because honestly, it would just, in my opinion, if I see, because it all depends who you want to please.
Right.
NXT pleased the hardcore wrestling fans. Because you either loved NXT or you hated NXT. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I'll watch NXT.
Because it wasn't a publicly traded business. I mean, it was. But you didn't see it as publicly traded business or production. You saw it as a community, a family almost. Like there's videos of Triple H meeting NXT fans, Triple H getting to the crowd and talking to NXT fans. The Cruiserweight Classic, Cedric Alexander, Kota Ibushi, probably my personal match of the year 2016. Ibushi, Cedric Alexander, semi-final round of the Cruiserweight Classic. Fantastic match. You should go watch it. And the end of that, Cedric Alexander's making his exit to the ring. And
Triple H comes out with the contract.
And he's, please sign Cedric. And he's like, all right, we'll do it. And he signs him, and the fan just erupted. That's the kind of thing a booker needs to do. And with that type of guy being head of the entire WWE, that's a very, very positive outlook on it.
So, there's a few things I wish would happen now that WWE is in different hands. One big thing would definitely have to be when
is AEW better than WWE? We will get to that here in a second.
That in like not even 2 minutes. So there's a few things I wish would change, and I pray that they do. One big thing that I wish WWE would change is treat your wrestlers like people instead of independent contractors. And I say this because life of a WWE superstar. You're on the road, what? 270 days of the year?
Yeah, 300 days a year.
300 days a year. You have to pay for your travel. You have to pay for your flights, pay for your meals, pay for your hotel. WWE is a billion-dollar company. And I believe
it is a $1 million company that should be a $1 billion company.
Yes.
Potentially could be a $1 billion company if things weren't.
Yes.
Stocks, especially the allegations of Vince McMahon, which we're not going to touch on because that's a little.
We don't really.
We don't have enough information to really discuss exactly what's been going on with that, and most of our audience, it's not the most, it's not the best topic to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, because that's not our place to talk.
Because
I believe because whether or not you think there's more allegations coming or Vince did this, Vince did that, you will never know until it's proven in a court of law.
And that's exactly how it should be, unfortunately. This is a court of public opinion, but our public opinion will not be in court. So we were going to nip that in the bud right there. We're done talking about that topic.
Yeah.
Moving on to AEW.
I will let you start because, once again, if you don't know, Trey really got me into the indies, and we go to indie wrestling events.
We do.
ASWA, shout out to them. They are a great wrestling show always, whether it be Robbie Collins winning or JJ DeVille. Just two great wrestlers they have there. They always put on a great show.
With a very loyal fan base.
Yes.
Now, with that being said, back in 2019, when Vince was still in charge, and this new promotion AEW came along, and this is a whole major, oh my god, this is a huge, brand new promotion. Like, this is the change we've been looking for forever.
And,
but
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And it was that change. Ex-WWE guys who were fired during the pandemic were going to AEW, and it was like the 90s all over again. It was like Eric Bischoff walking on Raw, and then NWO invading Raw, and all kinds of these big things like you didn't know what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And they got bigger and bigger and bigger until they started a second show besides Wednesday Night Dynamite, which was Friday Night Rampage, which, starting out, was a very good show.
It was
now
phenomenal. That's our big term now. Everything was phenomenal.
Now, Rampage is kind of suffering here. I believe Rampage, they promote it like it's a second Dynamite. But the kind of matches you see on Dark, AEW Dark, or AEW Elevation, you would be seeing on Rampage on a big, wider variety. Which, I know it's not a 2-hour show, it's only an hour show, but Ring of Honor did it. Impact used to do it. New Japan used to do it. You guys can do it too.
And here's
the stars you don't use on Dynamite you want to build up on Rampage.
Here's
That's
my
what
thing.
It's for.
So once again, I absolutely love the fact that AEW has AEW Dark and Elevation, because anyone can watch that. I know that there's some people in this world that don't have cable, and they don't have, like, they have a satellite dish or whatever, and they have 6 channels, and then they have Hulu and Netflix and everything else, which is modern day world now.
A lot of people don't use cable, which, honestly,
I love the fact that they have it on YouTube.
Yep.
For anyone to watch, and you can go back and rewatch whatever.
Yep.
If you see Kenny Omega's wrestling on Dark, which I'm pretty sure he has.
Yep, he did. He actually had a lights out match with Joey Janela.
Joey Janela.
Dark. And that was a phenomenal match. The Young Bucks sometimes show up on Dark.
Exactly.
Moxley shows up on Dark.
It keeps you on your toes. Plus, you get to see these people that, if it's I don't want to say it's like their NXT, because it's not. It's like their Florida Championship Wrestling. Except these people are getting exposure.
Yep.
And, so, I absolutely, I try to watch Dark and Elevation. I think it's really a great concept. However, what's going on with Rampage, once again, it's only an hour, and it's, 10 to 11?
Yep, 10 to 11.
Because it's after SmackDown. I think that's a brilliant move on Tony Khan's part for getting, because everybody watched SmackDown.
It was a brilliant move originally.
Because everybody watched SmackDown, and then they go right to Rampage, excuse me. And Rampage, what I've noticed, because Trey and I were talking about, what should we talk about in this podcast? We're definitely going to talk about Triple H, definitely going to talk about AEW. And I didn't mention this to you. However, I think it was this week on Rampage. I was scrolling through my phone, Thursday, trying to figure out what was like. Oh, I'm just scrolling through my feed, whatever, and I watched the Control Center.
Yep. And
they hype up Rampage. They do whatever on, because I like catching up on YouTube, because I have a life. I do things. And what happened was, it was like, here's all these great matches for Dynamite. We're going to have this excellent match. This is our main event. We're going to have this as our opening contest. We're going to hear from your TNT champion. On Rampage, all it is we're going to hear from this person. We're going to hear from this person. This person, Darby Allin's going to call out whoever he gosh darn pleases.
Parker Bordeaux and the Trustbusters are going to have a match against Sonny Kiss. And it's just like... And no shade and no disrespect to any professional wrestler. Strictly, I'm talking from the point of view of a viewer. When's the last time you saw Sonny Kiss in a match and went, oh, okay, I'm invested?
Exactly.
You haven't.
I personally am not a fan. However, I believe that the sport of professional wrestling is one that people shouldn't take lightly.
Nope.
It's a toll on your bodies. Trust me, we try to do it, and
it hurts. If anyone tells you the professional wrestling does not hurt,
we wrestled today.
It hurts.
We finished our show and we went on stage, and I'm having hip problems right now.
Yeah, it hurts. It takes a toll on your body. It really does. But we do it for you guys. That's why we do it.
So anyway, back to AEW. Their big thing right now, Trey, that you would like to mention, because once again, he's way more of an AEW guy than I am. Not saying I'm not an AEW guy, but Trey's big thing was AEW dealing with injuries.
The summer of injuries, yep. Some of them have been cleared, some have returned, others haven't. For quite a while, we had Dante Martin, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, Adam Cole, Jeff Hardy's out. He's not injured. That's other things. Buddy Matthews, just to name a select few. Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish.
A lot of people.
Kenny Omega, he's been out for how long now?
And when's he coming back?
He's been green light to come back whenever possible. I'm almost positive he's going to be the trios partner.
That would be insane. But AEW, and like even with Punk just returned.
Yep.
However, if you notice, the viewership plummeted when Punk got injured.
Yeah. Punk is a draw. Sorry to say. People don't like Punk. He's a draw. He draws money. More than Eddie Kingston ever will. Sorry, but he will.
Mm-hmm. So, is there anything else you would like to talk about with AEW, my friend? Did you feel like we covered
honestly
everything that you want to talk about?
The injuries did play a factor. My Rampage was not so good, but there's other stars you can use. Mm-hmm. Tony Khan, if you're listening to us, viewers, I know you do. Not much for chance you'll see this. Use Rampage to elevate younger stars. Don't make nobodies fight nobodies and make us want to care, because we won't.
Exactly.
And that's all I'm going to say about that. On to the next topic of the Off the Ropes podcast,
all right, so
which is...
This is something I really wanted to do because I thought it'd be very interesting to hear our opinions on things, because I believe some things, Trey believes different things.
This will be the final segment of the podcast before we answer some questions from the comment section.
And once again, if you, I think Landon's the only one watching. Landon, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them.
And spread the word too. Spread the word. We could always have more traffic to the channel. Spread the word. Any and everyone is welcome to join the Off the Ropes podcast. If anyone who wants to watch and ask us questions, just feel free.
We are perfectly fine with answering any questions.
Feel free. Even if it's about our personal lives. You want to know more about you want to know about how behind the character of Judas and Trey Mysticality. You want to know Trey Griggs and Dalton Edwards. Ask us.
We don't really care.
Ask us.
We are open books.
We're open books.
So, I see this a lot with, and once again, I'm a huge fan of the NBA.
Yep.
Ryan Kinger, if you know him from this, we've been friends since we were 5th grade, and he got me huge into basketball.
I met Ryan through Dalton. Great guy, phenomenal guy.
He is
awesome guy.
Great guy. He deserves everything. He is one of the main. I got him into wrestling. He got me into basketball.
Awesome guy. Yeah.
So, once again, Ryan, you're probably not listening, but by the way, he has a podcast. Go subscribe to the
Sort of Sports podcast.
Sort of Sports podcast. It is honestly.
Have you been on it yet?
I've been on the podcast.
You have been
twice.
on it. I have the possibility of Trey Mysticality being on it at some point. Go subscribe to the Sort of Sports podcast. Sort of Sports podcast.
Yes,
sorry,
it is a
Sort of Sports podcast. That is something
Ryan
else.
is a great podcaster.
And hey, maybe someday we'll do a joint podcast together. You never know.
There could always be a
never
off
say
the ropes.
Never say never.
Because once again, I went on. Once again, once you're done watching this, go to Sort of Sports podcast. I was on an episode, and Ryan and I fantasy booked an AEW versus WWE card.
Yep.
And that was before Vince retired. That was like maybe 2 months ago. That was when we were doing a show for our school.
Yep.
So, Trey, back to our subject at hand.
So this final segment is called Over or Under.
Over or under. Basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to give Trey some wrestlers, and he will give me some wrestlers. I have some written down. He will just go off the dome. So I have some wrestlers in mind that I would like to ask him whether he believes that they are overrated or underrated.
And the thing is, you can't say they're booked correctly. It's either over or under. That's the thing. That's what makes this challenging. It makes your gears turn.
Because you can say, give me a wrestler that's properly rated. You believe?
Personally, Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre. If you think he's properly rated, he's either overrated or underrated.
Yeah.
It's whatever you believe, and you could say, oh, this is for what was I gonna say? This is no, screw it. We're just going straight into it. So Trey, over or underrated? I'm going to give you some wrestlers, and you tell me whether or not you believe they're over or underrated.
All right, gotcha.
Let's start out. This may be the biggest one. Eddie Kingston, over or underrated?
Eddie Kingston is one of the most overrated professional wrestlers I have ever seen. He cuts subpar promos at best. His in-ring skill is not that great. He's a New Yorker. He's loud. He's obnoxious. Other people like him so much. He has lots of problems with lots of wrestlers backstage like Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, CM Punk. And honestly, if you have that many problems with that many people, you got to be the problem. There's no way you're not the problem. And Eddie Kingston, I don't want to go on a whole tangent. I don't want to go on a whole rant. That'll be a separate thing that we do on the show, possibly. I don't know if you want to hear my thoughts on Eddie Kingston. Say something down below. Maybe we'll make a video about that. But as for right now, he's getting the up.
So right now, Eddie Kingston, overrated. Next one on my list, Braun Breaker.
Ooh.
How do you feel about Braun Breaker? Because if you didn't know, I feel I'm heavily sided one way with Braun Breaker. And I want to see how you feel about it. I don't know if you know how I feel about it.
When NXT 2.0 first started, right? He was their main guy. He was
still their main guy.
He is still their main guy.
He's still
But
champ.
he was built up as the main guy. And he lost the belt to Ziggler. He dropped the belt to Ziggler for not very long and got it back. 40 days?
Something like that. He won it at... he lost it on a weekly episode and then
he did.
won it back.
It's a triple threat match, I believe. And then, he is relative to the... he's related to Rick Steiner, and he is Rick Steiner's son and Scott Steiner's nephew. And those are two very credible tag teams. A lot of people know who the Steiners are.
Right.
Braun Breaker has a lot of work to be done. And he got the championship pretty early on. He's working pretty well. And this may shock some, but I'm going to give him the below. I'm going to give him
underrated. Okay.
I'm going to give him the underrated because he still has a lot more. He has a lot more come up.
I personally believe Braun Breaker is overrated.
Okay.
Because, and this is just me being me, I hate NXT 2.0. I can't stand. I hate the fact that Vince changed it to this cartoony, hey. I mean, I'm all down for pushing new wrestlers, but the whole thing is just I do not like.
There's been a few good things about it. The D'Angelo and
but it's like who's watching that?
Legado del Fantasma feud. Well, I'm watching that. But
well, of course. You're a mark.
Mark. Okay. The Joe Gacy's and the others around making the product better, making an overall product, give it a little bit of a boost from those guys' work.
Okay. So, Braun Breaker, you believe, is underrated. This one I think is controversial because you believe one or the other. Darby Allin.
Ooh, okay.
Currently, Darby Allin. How do you feel about Darby Allin? Would he be overrated or would he be underrated?
Darby Allin is a great underdog. Darby Allin is talented. However, he's a bit of a spot monkey. And this is coming from a fan, Darby Allin. I love Darby Allin.
And this man is a spot monkey.
He's a spot monkey. He's always doing things. That's why he gets the, ooh, kind of pop because he does all these kind of things. He's constantly destroying his body for people, and that can only work for so long, in my personal opinion. That can only do so much. I think Darby Allin's a great talent. I think he has the chance to be put up, but I'm gonna have to give him the up.
Overrated. I mean, I agree to an extent. I believe he's barely. If I had to choose between under and over, I would say overrated. However, Darby is a great performer. He puts his body on the line. I respect that. No hate toward Darby Allin, but that's what I believe. This one's a very interesting one. It's not one of your top guys, but I believe he could be in some time. How do you feel? Overrated, underrated? Ricky Starks. He's just got out of his tag team with the Powerhouse Hobbs. That feud will eventually culminate.
A lot of people, including Jim Cornette, have openly said, I don't know if you know this, have openly said Ricky Starks could be the new Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I have to disagree. So there may be some bias here.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Anyone who knows me, in my wrestling opinions, I am not a fan of The Rock whatsoever. I find nothing redeeming about Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I don't think his movies are good. I think his wrestling is okay. He knows how to work a crowd. I'll give him that. He knows how to work a crowd very well. I believe that Ricky Starks, under the right direction, could become one of the biggest top guys in professional wrestling. It'll take quite a few years for that to happen, but it could happen. And he hasn't been utilized as much as he should have, so I'm going to give him the below. I'm going to say he's underrated.
I believe Ricky Starks is very underrated. Ricky Starks knows how to work a crowd.
Yep.
I wouldn't put him with The Rock yet, because there's a level. There's levels.
The bar you got to set.
And I believe that that he is very, very underrated. So we will answer this question here in a second, because that is actually a very interesting question.
We will answer questions at the end after Dalton finishes his list of overrated and underrated.
Yes, I have 3 more actually.
Yep.
And you can make this relatively quick.
Yep.
Just a quick response. First thoughts: Jon Moxley.
Jon Moxley. I don't know how short I can make this. Jon Moxley is one of the most pivotal characters in the last few years. His first AEW title reign, which was mostly through the pandemic, was great. Trying to make a heel turn, whole big 9 yards, whatever. His second title reign really hasn't been all that memorable.
That's what I'm saying.
Really has not been
Currently,
all that memorable.
is he overrated or
AEW
under?
interim
Over or
champion.
under?
Every match he's in, he has to bleed, and that can only get so far. Especially in matches with GCW, I mean, a lot of the old school guys like Piper and all of them say there's a certain time when you get some juice going, when you start to bleed. That's when it makes it. It's a storytelling element. But when you do it every single match, same with Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta was doing that for a while too. But so right now, unfortunately, I hate to say it, gotta give Moxley the up.
I will agree with that. I think Moxley right now is overrated because he believes he has to bleed in every match. Once again, it adds drama. But when you do it too much,
it's a good storytelling device if it's not overused, and it really has been overused.
Landon's actually putting some wrestlers down here.
So we'll answer these at the end.
I have one that he said that I have on my list. However, make this quick. Bucyrus Little Theater with Landon wants to know Edge. How do you feel? Over or underrated? Currently.
Currently?
Not his whole career, but currently. How is Edge rated to you?
I feel like you could be doing a lot more. You only have so many years left. Make them count. I understand building new stars, so for the right reasons.
Underrated. I once again, I appreciate that. I love Edge. Currently, I love Edge. Career-wise, he's very underrated. As of right now, I believe he's properly, but if I have to choose, underrated.
Yep.
I have 2 more.
Right.
Landon, and I have the one that I'm going to save for last.
And then we will get to the questions at the end. Real shortly. We answer the viewers' questions.
So if you have any more questions, please feel free to comment them below.
Right now.
Once again, higher or underrated or overrated? Wardlow. How do you feel about the current TNT champion, Mr. Mayhem himself, Wardlow?
It's kind of hard to say when you're developing stories with MJF. However, he reminds me a lot of Goldberg, and that's not really the best thing. It's really not the best thing. Some may think that Goldberg's a legend. I think Goldberg's a mark for himself. I'm not a fan of Goldberg. I don't think he was ever that great. He's really not as pivotal character as ever. Wardlow has potential. He really, really does.
But currently,
don't know who else they put the TNT title on, but
he's doing that feud with Scorpio Sky and the Giant.
Unfortunately, you're not Scorpio Sky. You mean Jay Lethal and Simon?
Jay Lethal, sorry.
And
I keep
Satnam Singh of the NBA because that was such a great decision.
I keep forgetting that my brain's still wrapping around the fact that Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara were tossing around the TNT title.
Yeah,
they were playing hot potato. Yeah. But anyway, Wardlow, overrated or underrated?
I'm gonna give Wardlow the
overrated for Wardlow.
Shouldn't have had the belt yet. My personal opinion. Don't come at me, guys. That's just my opinion.
And this is via Landon and via me because I wanted this to be the last one. Personally, I believe that this one is the most interesting because it might be the most controversial. Currently, right now, at this moment in time, overrated or underrated? His name is Joe. Roman Reigns.
Ooh.
I feel like that is a very controversial one.
Ooh.
Because
how pure are we talking? We talking tribal chief? We talking right in this present
We're talking
day, right this
in this
minute.
present day, because if it's tribal chief, it's obviously underrated. However, current day, he's going in a feud with
for years,
Drew McIntyre.
For years, people were pushing the Roman agenda. People were pushing that Roman agenda. People didn't like it. Turned heel. People started to like it more. But not only is Roman Reigns right now overrated, he's a part-timer, doesn't show up to work, which makes him kind of a hypocrite. Which isn't his fault. It's how he was written in storylines. Makes him kind of a hypocrite. The unifying the titles was a bad move. The bloodline was... If you're your main guy, I don't care what people say, well, back in my day, I used to watch, this territory, back in, this area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, times are different. Wrestling's evolving, guys. If you're going to have not one world champion on one show not showing up is bad enough, having both your world titles on one guy and then not showing up at all and having no main titles to go after and build up through the sky. Right through the sky.
Roman Reigns.
Overrated through the sky.
Overrated. Very interesting.
Through the sky. No doubt about it.
That is very, very interesting. And then to end this...
We're going to answer some of the questions.
We have one question via Landon. And, let's see. First of all, he said, I made Trey tap out. How do you feel about that?
No comment on that one.
No comment. Once again, if you know what we did earlier today, you would understand that. What are your thoughts about the AEW video game? Personally, I am super excited for it, other than the fact that it's not what we're used to. I mean, I'm all down for it. Like, it reminds me of WWE All-Star right now.
It's actually built off the, I don't know if you know this, a lot of fans want it to be built off this engine. That's what it is. The No Mercy N64 build.
That is, I'm very interested.
Which is what they wanted to do with that.
And I don't think there's any gameplay out, is there?
There are gameplay trailers, and there is screenshots and a...
Yeah, there's I can't really form an opinion on that yet.
About it is out. It's very promising. The cover art's beautiful.
Once again, I have not seen anything big on it yet. However, I'm going to drop $60 to get that game.
100%, yeah.
If I buy WWE Battlegrounds, I will buy that game.
That's 100% true.
All right, so
I haven't touched that game since I got it.
I haven't even opened it. I've taken it out of the package.
I have. I've played it a few times.
So
it's all right.
If you want to end this podcast, Trey, is there any? I know we talked about the fact that I want to do overrated, underrated. Is there any wrestlers that you want my opinions on, whether or not they're overrated or underrated, in my personal opinion? Like off the top of your dome.
There is one wrestler, and you really need to think about this.
Okay.
Think about their legacy. Think about what they've done for the business. Think about anything you've heard about them backstage. Think about what they've accomplished. Think about what others have said about them.
Well, keep in mind, this is right now too. This isn't. We can do. You know what? Next time, you know what we will do?
This is a current wrestler.
This is current wrestling.
Think about everything that happened. Think about where they were a year ago. Think about where they are now. Mr. Money in the Bank, Theory.
I would get hate whether or not I say either one. However, Theory, when he first got in WWE, I was so excited because I love Austin Theory.
I love Evolve. That's how I got him to watch him.
That's how he got me to watch Evolve because Austin Theory was in it.
Austin Theory was Evolve champion. That's how we found out about Keith Lee, Walter, Matt Riddle, all those guys.
So he joins NXT. He gets called up to be a part of the pandemic WrestleMania 36.
Because Evolve, unfortunately, after the coronavirus, shut its doors down. Sadly, shut their doors down.
So he teamed up with Angel Garza. Or was that Andrade? It was one of the two.
Teamed up with Andrade
because he replaced Garza. Loved him there. He can play a heel, he can play a face. As you see with Evolve and you see with everything else.
Much better heel.
I think he's much better as a heel. I feel like he has the Rocket strapped to his back at the moment. Austin Theory.
I don't know about that because that was a big Vince McMahon project. That was a huge
Vince McMahon project.
And no docking on Theory, but I don't think Theory would be the top of the line for someone like Triple H to push. Would he push him? Absolutely, but he's not top of the line like he was.
And Triple H isn't the type of person that would just kill somebody's push out of nowhere. However, back to Theory, I hate the gimmick that he has right now. I hate the selfies. I mean, okay, he's a young, promising star. I'm feeling a lot of young Randy Orton with him. Lane, I'll look at your comment here in a second. We saw it pop up on screen. I thought he'd be rated R. We love you, Landon. But, it's hard. Because I believe he's both overrated and underrated.
You gotta pick one, though. That's
how this works.
You gotta pick one of them.
Me, personally, with his ability in the ring, his promo skills, I mean, they could always get better. I believe Austin Theory is very underrated.
Ooh. Okay.
If he has a different gimmick.
Okay.
If he has a different gimmick, he gets pushed differently, I believe that he is underrated.
That is...
Because he can offer...
I will be honest with you, that is a hot take. That is a hot take.
He has a lot for WWE to offer for the next 10 years. But as of right now, I believe that he is underrated because of the fact he has the rocket strapped to his back and he is currently Mr. Money in the Bank and he's on every show. So people would believe we're getting too much Austin Theory, but in hindsight, I think he's a great wrestler.
Oh, I am a huge Austin Theory fan, but I'd give him the up personally. Finish through these comments, and then that's gonna be the show.
So Landon mentioned once again, Landon, thank you for listening in. We appreciate it, bub. So he got our thoughts on Edge. I believe Edge is very underrated right now. He's done a lot of work. And how old is he? 48?
47.
47?
Yes.
He's getting up there in age. He's doing a great job. Roman Reigns, I had that on my list as well because I wanted to hear Trey's thoughts on that. And then Landon also says, I thought he'd be rated R. You are a funny human being.
Yeah.
So, hopefully we can do more of these podcasts. I mean, I really enjoy sitting down talking wrestling with anyone, whether it be somebody in the comments section or somebody with like Trey. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to comment them. If you have any ideas for our next podcast. Any
kind of content you're looking for.
Because who knows, there might be one tomorrow. We don't know.
Before we end the show, a few shout-outs I'd like to make.
A few shout-outs?
Shout-outs I'd like to make. The Sort of Sports Podcast on YouTube, subscribe to that. The Codester wants to know who Cody Black was, our Blizzard General Manager. Go subscribe to The Codester. He makes all kinds of content for you guys all the time. My personal Twitch channel. It is under my gamer tag. It's Ice Mystic. capital I-C-E, capital M-Y, number 5, T-I-C. The 5 is supposed to be an S. Ice Mystic on Twitch. Go watch it. We go live whenever I have the chance. We play Warzone, wrestling, NBA,
it
Fortnite,
is
anything.
actually, like, I don't have Twitch, but I can tell you from the stuff, he just looks at me and goes, hey, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. I'm like, okay. And then we end up doing some fun stuff. So please.
It's fun.
Look at that. Also, Sports Podcast, Codester.
Yep.
Check out.
Take a good look at them.
Check them all out.
For advice for any up-and-coming new YouTube stars, when I was little, I used to have a YouTube channel. I had about 100 subscribers because I worked on it. And we are at 75 subscribers. Our goal is to get to 100 by the end of the year. Is it plausible? Hopefully.
And once again, word of mouth travels fast. So, any listeners?
Be sure to share it to everybody. Anyone who has a dream to become a content creator, you may think it's impossible. You may think because you don't have to set up the money, the budget, whatever.
Like
just go for it.
Honestly, right now,
just do it.
Like we just decided to hit film.
We are sitting in my basement currently.
We were sitting in the basement. I had the idea of this amazing setup, where Trey has a lot of pop figures, Funko Pops, just sitting down here. Right now, we have I call it a $2 setup.
Yup.
It's the I would say $1 setup, $1 million finish.
Yeah. 100%.
Because right now we're having a blast talking about wrestling and whatever else.
It's almost been an hour. It doesn't feel like an hour's even gone by.
Exactly. We're just
we
talking.
appreciate everyone who watches. We appreciate everyone who subscribes, clicks.
And like even with this, right now we have a box keeping everything together.
So we have one more question from Lena before we go off the air here. Would you like to read the comment?
This is an interesting one because this happened while we were on a hiatus.
Yes.
Last question. What are your thoughts about Cody Rhodes switching?
So, my personal opinion, right? It may be a bit of a shocking one. Cody Rhodes did exactly what Vince McMahon likes his guys to do. The same thing McIntyre did.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing that, I mean, if you want to consider gender, he did enough to bring him back, so.
Worked on his body.
Yeah.
Ate right.
Guys that didn't look like a promising star to him. Cody Rhodes is phenomenal. He can play both characters. He was a good babyface in AEW. He was a great heel in Ring of Honor. A lot of guys should have what Cody Rhodes has, that work ethic, that passion that he has. Cody Rhodes is, I never turned against Cody Rhodes. I wasn't a big fan of how he went towards the end of here with Beach Break, with the ladder match, the TNT title, and then he came back and he popped that crowd, and everyone was tuning into Raw to see what Cody Rhodes was going to do next. Same with AEW. Everyone was going to see what Cody Rhodes was going to do. His feud with Malachi Black, MJF, Chris Jericho. We're not going to talk about the Anthony Ogogo match. That was a little.
Yeah.
But.
That's professional wrestling.
It's professional wrestling. There's good, there's bad, there's ugly, there's real bad, and there's really good, and there's really, really bad.
And then there's your 7-star classics.
Yeah. Tokyo Dome.
So, my thoughts on Cody Rhodes switching, or at least the way I saw it was, if you go look on my Facebook, I posted this better be a work when it was announced that him and Cody and Brandy were leaving AEW.
Officially leaving AEW, yep.
Once again, money is a powerful thing. However, I believe that there is more than money involved. I feel like it's proving people wrong. I feel like it's having the legacy that his father wanted him to have. I feel like that is a huge...
Ending his career on his terms.
Mm-hmm.
Doing what he wants to do.
Because in AEW, he wasn't getting the response he wanted. He refused to turn heel because the people never let him down, ever, when he was in his darkest days. Once again, you could even talk WCPW, Ring of Honor, just when he was traveling the globe.
WCPW, that brings me back. I really wish it would have been more successful.
What culture pro wrestling
before it became Defiant Wrestling, it was
amazing.
It's a major...
It is actually very, very amazing.
There's stuff that is still on YouTube. Go watch it. But, yeah. It's crazy what the wrestling world is coming to. we'll never not have content because wrestling news is ever evolving. But we appreciate everyone who came to watch the show tonight and who came and joined us, who chatted with us, asked us questions. Remember, word of mouth spreads. Catch you guys
wildfire.
Catch you guys next time. This has been
Off the ropes.